Well, the Africa Rising International Film Festival returns this month for its 5th installment. The festival seeks to recognize and celebrate African storytelling, filmmakers and industry stakeholders. And this year, it will do this under the theme, Here We Are, celebrating our past, present and future of African cinema. The festival will take place from the 24th to the 27th of November in Johannesburg, where it will host an array of curated programs to reflect all aspects of the film production, such as film screenings, the Film Festival, Child Film and Festival Talk series. For more on the festival, we speak now to the President, Lala, Tuku, and Festival Director, Ayanda, Sithebe. A warm welcome to both our guests. Thank you so much for joining us in our studios this morning. The 5th installment, congratulations.
Thank you.
You made it through COVID.
We did. We did.
Yes, you did. I mean, Lala, talk to us about that, though, because I think that's such an important point to start at, the fact that so much was devastated, so much was taken away from and lost during the pandemic. And really, I think this 5th installment is, in a way, trying to celebrate what you've overcome, but also help sort of plow a way forward.
Oh, absolutely. COVID was a time that was devastating on many levels for everyone. Beyond the loss that we all experienced, I think what we had was the magic of story and the magic of entertainment that we could hold on to.
Yes.
Visuals and video became a thing where we could all connect, and that's really at the heart of our story. At the heart of our festival is stories, and it's the African story. It's the African narrative. So we're 5 years, as you say. So we always say high five to us. But really, the premise is, how do we affirm our own currency? How do we put a spotlight on African cinema? How do we create a future-fit African child when it comes to this industry? We know how the industry is. We know the makeup of it. We know the challenges that we have gone through. So here we are saying, in fact, that's our theme. So here we are saying that, you know, we see each other, we recognize each other, our stories are important, but beyond that, it is important who tells those stories, and I guess that's what this platform seeks to do.
No, absolutely. Ayanda, has African cinema sort of in the past gone unappreciated, would you say? And there is this almost clarion call that we've been seeing for the last decade or so to celebrate African cinema, African storytelling, and everything beautiful that this continent has to offer.
Yeah. I mean, we had a conversation at our media launch with Vincent Mloyi and other panelists, and the big thing was that, did we drop the ball somewhere? You know, because someone was saying, film needs its own Mapiano moment, you know. So African cinema needs that moment, you know, to sort of take African stories to the globe, you know. I think we are rich in story, we are rich in culture, and we see that with other international productions that are coming to Africa and telling our own stories. And I think at the core of it is just lack of resources. I think the more story can get investment, whether from government or from corporate, I think that's where we'll reach sort of our height as African storytellers. I think it's just that investment, and I think it's what Lala was saying, you know, that the gaps that are there in the industry from a transformation perspective, resources, you know, more investment in that regard will really drive the African story, because it's there. We see it when the international guys come in and we celebrate the likes of Woman King, Black Panther. And we can do that with our own stories. The talent is there. We have Jamil's film screening at the festival, and you see what he's done from an African perspective. Saw The Winter in My Skin, what he's done with Blood Psalms, you know, the Yellow Bone team. So we are capable, we can do it, you know, it's just more support that needs to come in.
Tell our stories in a way that's authentically ours as well. Lala, also what I love about the festival is that it's not just about entertainment. There's a real concerted effort to capacitate, you know, to upskill, especially when we're talking about the younger generation of filmmakers, of script writers, etc. How does the festival do just that?
You know, we had to be very bold and intentional about why we exist. What is our why? And so beyond entertaining and beyond gathering and beyond celebrating, there is an urgent need for us to look at what are the key things that are going to drive transformation, and how does it look like? So how does winning look like for an African child? So if we look at ownership of content, where does it sit?
Right.
If we look at the distribution means, we look at how it is to, how easy is it to study film and so forth. So what we do is we've broken up the festival in 4 key components. One is the curation of the films themselves, and then we have what we call ARIFF talks. So here we have the conversations, but we hope that they won't just end as conversations, because it can happen that we're just having the conversation. So we bring in key stakeholders who would then are part and parcel of really crafting the future we want to see. So bringing in the stakeholders with the filmmakers and having these huge debates. And I think in the past 4 years we've seen some traction in terms of those very same conversations that we're having. And then we've got what is very dear to us called the film child. So it's an excursion for kids in previously disadvantaged areas, and we bring them and track them into a cinema. And they get to see film for the first time. And we all take it for granted, popcorn and cool drink, but you must see their eyes. And for us, it's opening up the imagination. It's untapping, because there's so much film, the world of film and cinema gives you as a child. It's almost like you're allowed to dream.
Yeah.
And then we've got the digital hub, which obviously we cannot ignore the 4th generation, that industrial generation that we're going into, and how we tell those stories. We see it with TikTok. We see it in terms of how telling stories in itself has changed. We've got a couple of things. We award, cinema legends. Last year we did with Sithebe, and this year we're very proud to honor Mr. Akin Omotoso, who for us symbolizes that Africa, you can do it as an African child. And
I love that, and of course we'll continue with that conversation on the other side of this. Well, welcome back. We're in conversation with the President and Director of the Africa Rising International Film Festival, Lala, Tuku, and its Director, Ayanda, Sithebe. We're talking about the 5th installment of the festival that returns next week. Before we went on that break, we were talking to you, Lala, about what the program is trying to do. You were taking us through the core sort of pillars. But Ayanda, I want to talk about what people can actually expect come the 24th of November, and interested individuals who would really like to submit their pieces of work and share them with the community and the networking that you're trying to create. How is that possible for them?
Yeah, so we've got a very exciting program lined up. We're excited about it. So from a film side of it, what we decided to do, and speaks back to your earlier question around spotlighting African cinema, we decided to take a memory lane, sort of, reflect on where African cinema is coming from. Right. So we'll be screening films that are 7 years and older throughout the festival. So that's, I think, a very exciting moment for us. Your likes of Tokiboki, Flame, all these celebrated films, Chicken Business, Jerusalem, with that moment, that we think we missed somewhere. So we just want to relive that as well. We've got dialogues, talks that are going to really be digging deep into where cinema is coming from and where it's going. So we've got a very exciting panel called Call and Response. And the call aspect of it really digs deep in terms of what did we get right, where did we go wrong? And the response is like, where is cinema going? The Film Child, this year we partnered with Kukuletu Orphanage Home. So we'll be taking over 100 kids to go watch films, and most of them will be watching a film for the first time in a cinema. So there's a lot of really,
Do we know which film they'll be watching?
No, not yet. We want to surprise the kids as well.
All right.
But we'll be very, very excited. Last year they watched Encanto, which was an African premiere. We got the film from Disney. So it's always an exciting animation. In a way as well for the new generation of content consumers to see themselves on their screens as well. That's something we're very intentional about. But yeah, ARIFF.tv, that's where you can see the full program. And everyone is welcome as well. We speak to accessibility of film.
I love the inclusive space. Yes, Lala?
Yeah, I was just going to add in terms of where people can submit their films.
Yes.
So for the past 5 years, what we have been doing is we've been curating the films. So just so that we could really build the base of the festival.
Yeah.
And then from year 6, that's when we're going to open it up. But we're very intentional about the story we wanted to tell and craft it. So now that here we are from year 6, so from early on in the year, next year, we'll start doing a call for the films.
I love it. We're already casting our eyes to the future. The 6th installment. Thank you so much to both our guests, Ayanda, Sithebe and Lala Tuku, for joining us to discuss the Africa Rising International Film Festival.